What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the garage. It's been a while. I had some things happen. Anyway, on today's episode, because that's what we're here for, we are installing a Classic Performance Products Mustang II front suspension on old Project Ivy. It's a lot of work, but surprisingly easier than I expected. So join me on this one. It's going to be fun. So I made a mark you can barely see because it's black on black. I'm going to cut around here, across the top, down the backside, and then clean up the top of the frame rail. So this will come out on both sides. Wish me luck. Okay, made some progress. So I went from this, get your shock tower, your lower control arm bracket, to, well, none of that. It's all gone. I have a feeling this is gonna have to cut out. Eventually, these will have to come out. These are your mounts for your strut rod. We're not gonna use those anymore, so eventually all this will be clear. I'm not entirely sure if there's like a bracket that triangulates this corner on the front here, but I guess we'll find out as we progress. Yeah, this is a ton of work. Using a sawzall, use a grinder, flap disc, cut off wheels. It took 2 cut off wheels just to cut the bucket out, but making progress. This is gonna be a long one. All right, so it's another day. It's like, was it Thursday? Last time I worked on this was Saturday or Sunday. So a couple things have happened. Obviously, you can tell the spring buckets themselves have been removed. They're tucked underneath the car because I didn't bother to throw them away yet. Next is we have to plate the frame. So this goes on the inside. So we have to plate it, but we also have to notch it for clearance for the actual spring itself, because the way the geometry is set up on this, the spring will actually interfere with this outside portion of the frame rail. So we're gonna cut those out and plate everything, clean everything up, because obviously you don't want to weld on dirty painted material. You're gonna get porosity and all sorts of stuff. So next thing on the agenda, get those positioned properly. They give you measurements in the installation instructions, which are only digital. They didn't send actual paper copy with the kit, but online it's really easy on CJ PonyParts to actually get the digital copy. So take the measurements, we're gonna center it, and then get everything positioned where they're supposed to be, because the center of that notch is going to be the center line of your spindle. So if you want your wheelbase correct and you want things to track properly, you need to make sure you get this in the right spot. Okay, so to center where our notch is going to be, the measurement that they provided was 24 1/4, and that is from the front of this cross member, which I
find interesting to be the point of reference, but I guess offsetting the wheel backwards from there, I guess, is a good starting point. So obviously, if things are already bent, you might need to replace that prior to doing this. So starting from the front, measuring back 24¼ inches. I'm not holding it, so it's not perfect, like you're not gonna see perfectly, but so, and then what I did was I placed the plate on top like so, and did my best to center the radius on this point. I just set a ruler across the back edge and centered my mark into the center of where that ruler was sitting. So what I did after that was I kind of marked the perimeter in some Sharpie to give me an idea as to where to start cutting. And yeah, so now all that's left to do is actually cut this out. All right, here's where we're at. Notch the top. I had to take this upper flange off to get the upper plate to come out far enough so it's actually mating on the inside of the frame. I have not notched the bottom. What I plan to do is I'm gonna tack this top one in place, just around the perimeter. I'll mark here, and then I'll cut that out afterwards. Alright, so got it tacked all the way down, both sides, a couple tacks here. Got it nice and tight in position, and then with that clamped with the other piece right here, had this in here, and I had it clamped so this gap was nice and even, and then I marked the panel underneath. So now hitting things. So now I have to go ahead and cut and notch that out. As you can probably see, things have changed. Things have progressed. Got ourselves all plated up, and I set the cross member in and tacked it in place. I double checked some measurements, made sure everything is where it's supposed to be. So, gotta burn this in, and then we got the spring buckets, which are an extremely tight fit. But they go like so. They are oriented a specific way. The front is taller than the back. But we are going to go ahead and burn this cross member in place, throw the spring buckets on, burn those in place, and then the cutting and welding and grinding and all that is done. Then we can actually assemble the suspension, put it together, and maybe set this thing on the ground before the end of the video. Okay, let me squeeze in here real quick. Everything is welded in. I will clarify right now, I am not a welder. Never been to any education when it comes to welding. So if you want to make fun of my welds, that's fine. I respect it. Everything's welded in though. I'm confident in it. It's my own rig. I don't know what to look for. I'm sure it's fine. Now comes the fun part of trying to install the, as you can see, I got the upper lower control arms hanging on both sides. I gotta get that spring in. The nice part is the shock can just be installed from the bottom. And then I got the whole hub knuckle assembly on both sides. So we're gonna start installing suspension. Proceed at your own risk. This is not the correct and or safe way to do this. Yeah.
There you have it, folks. The Mustang II front suspension is installed. The car is sitting on the ground. We are making progress in the right direction for once. I know it has been a long time since I have posted any videos, but that's okay. We are back at it. We are making progress. We are slowly putting this car back together. The next on the agenda, I'm not sure yet. There's a lot of options. I guess you'll find out on the next episode. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you next time.